It's Thursday, October the 7th, King of the Mountain State Show. I'm Chase Hill. We're just 9 days away from our upcoming event, a super stacked card of pro and amateur boxing. We've got our Final Four in the heavyweight, our Final Four in the light heavyweight of this year's tournament to crown the King of the Mountain State, several other amateur fights. We've got a state championship professional fight, and another fight that really stands out that we're going to be talking about today with my guest is the Adonis. Jeromy Mitchell will be making his professional boxing debut at the Welch Armory next Saturday night. Jeromy, thanks for sitting down with me.
Hey, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. First time on the show. You get to make your pro boxing debut. You get to make the King of the Mountain State show debut. So first time on the show for the fans out there. Tell them where you're from, where you live at, and that kind of stuff. Introduce yourself a little bit.
Jeromy Mitchell from Princeton, West Virginia, train at Advantage Martial Arts.
Now you've been there in Princeton, Bluefield, your life, right? Like that's where you've been at most of your life.
Yeah, moved here when I turned 5. So yeah, pretty much my whole life.
Yeah, you and Derek have a great following down there. I mean, the fans really like you guys. It's not just the exciting way that you fight and your style and that kind of stuff, but they genuinely really like you guys. It's easy to root for you guys. So, all right, tell me a little bit about the boxing background. I know we talked a little bit off camera, and you've been doing this. You're 24, 25 years old now, and you've been doing this for about 10 years. So tell me how it all started with the boxing gloves.
So when I was about 12 years old, my uncle was always into boxing, which I'm sure everybody can tell a story about their uncle that boxed somewhere, but he was really into boxing. So when I got the opportunity to get into it myself, I kind of just wanted to give it a shot because I'd heard him talk about it like since I was little. And I found a gym, started doing it, and I actually had got into boxing way before I ever got into MMA. MMA was more of an accident that I got into it. So I had spent most of my time, like I said, doing boxing. I had boxed through USA Boxing and had ended up with a record of 9-1. And then I was there training one day. I didn't have any fights coming up or anything, but one of my teammates did. His was MMA. And Derek had actually asked me to spar with him, even though I didn't do MMA, to help him get ready because nobody had showed up for him that day. And I got in there and I ended up taking him down. I don't know how. And ended up doing pretty well. And he asked me if I wanted to make my MMA debut. So then I did, and I got addicted to that. But no, originally I'd started all this with boxing, and I've taken maybe the last 5 years focused towards MMA, but it all started with boxing. So it's good to get back to it.
Well, even I knew you as an MMA fighter. You know, it was something where we hadn't really crossed paths through the boxing game, but I was a fan of watching what you were doing in the MMA. You've kind of had a real good run at that. I mean, tell me a little bit about the MMA since you turned 18 and you've had a bunch of fights. What's the record and stuff look like now?
As a professional MMA, I am 3-1, 3 first round stoppages. Amateur MMA didn't go as flawlessly. It was I started out 14-7. But my first 3 fights, I actually started out 0-3. And because I didn't have the grappling for MMA, I'd only done boxing, and I didn't have the ability to kick very well yet. But there were so many moving parts to MMA is what really pulled me into it. And so I getting to master all the moving parts of it is what I guess got me so interested in it and how I got lost in it for so many years. And now I'm at the point that I feel like stepping out and individualizing each part, such as boxing, will actually be what I would need to do to improve next.
Right.
So.
To kind of really hone your skills in each aspect of your craft. You know, one thing Derek's always told me, he's like, you know, Jeromy wasn't initially blessed with just these crazy gifted. He's worked his way into it, but he talks about you being one of the hardest workers that he's ever seen, that you really push him. And if you're pushing Derek Lambert, you must really be working your butt off. What's it like being in that gym there at Advantage MMA, where you guys are able to push each other to get ready for fights and always have good sparring and stuff like that?
It is insane and exhausting. So if I had to sum it up, I actually no, I can't sum it up. I'm just going to tell it how it is. It is every day there's somebody in there trying to make you do something miserable, and usually I'm the guy that's trying to make you do something miserable. But now it's to the point where it's like we see how far we can do, like push the other one just for whatever reason. So you know, it used to be I would be in there trying to push somebody to the edge until I got done. Now it's to the point that I push them to what I think is the edge. And then they're like, okay, well, let's do this now. And then I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's do this now. And then we're there 5 hours later and we're both dead.
Yeah, and Derek's given me a good walkthrough of the facility there. He explained some of the different classes that you guys had and different, things that you offered there. It seems like not only you're fighting, but your gym has a big fan base. What's it like knowing that a lot of these times when you've been fighting MMA, you've been going to Tennessee, you've been going into Virginia, you've been going places on the road, you get to make your professional boxing debut 30, 40 minutes down the road in Welch. I imagine that's a luxury and something you're really excited about.
Oh, absolutely. And like you said, it's not just the support for me, it's the support for the entire gym. And the reason that's cool is because I mean it's a small community. So a lot of these people have actually trained at the gym for some capacity of time. So for those people, it's not, supporting their local athlete. It's like supporting somebody they know very, very personally, somebody that they're, it's kind of like a family. Like it's truly a family environment. It's not, I know a lot of people say that, but it truly is. And so a lot of people that come through, they're just like family. So it's kind of like a big family reunion, honestly.
Right. And that's true. One of the things that I have kind of sacrificed down here when I moved to Florida 5 years ago was a little bit of the loss of community or family and stuff. You don't have that big support group like you're used to having when you're from a small town. Everybody steps in, everybody wants to see you succeed for the most part. And you guys have really earned their respect. Let's talk a little bit about the fight. Derek's got a big fight that night. And your professional debut is a big deal. I always say to people, one of the fights you always remember is the first one. The first time you go in the ring as a professional, that's something you end up telling your kids and grandkids and stuff about. A lot of guys, especially in their hometown, they like to play it safe.
Hmm.
When I say play it safe, they like to fight a guy that's 2-10, or a guy that maybe hasn't much experience at all. But you're fighting Dreon Martin. Like, Dreon Martin is a legit fighter. He is a well-skilled, honed. He's fought MMA. He's got a bunch of fights. He's going to show up. He's going to be there to win. Not a lot of guys would put themselves in their hometown making a pro debut against opposition like Dreon Martin. He's a southpaw, all those kind of things. What's it like knowing that right off the bat, you're getting in the ring as a professional with the guy who can really fight?
Exciting. Really exciting because and I get what you mean. A lot of people like to play it safe because for them, it's a lot about what they get to post on Facebook afterwards. They want to post that they won. For me, I live this every day. I get to win, I get to lose every single day. So therefore, for me, it's a lot about competition. Don't get me wrong. The reason I compete is to win. I'm not there for anything else. But really, I just like the competition. So at the end of the fight, I know that I will, when I get my hand raised, it'll be something I can actually be proud of, not something that was expected, something that should have happened a million times over. This is something that, I feel I should win. I will win. Something happens. I move wrong. I twist my knee. I'm in a real fight. It's not somebody I could, wake up with the flu and beat. It's a real competitor, and that excites me.
Well, and I know guys who are 3-0, 5-0, 6-0, maybe in our state back in the day, whatever, and they never fought a guy like Dreod Martin. Like, he would absolutely be better than those guys who are 5-0 or 6-0. So it's exciting for me to see that. One of the reasons that we ended up going with Dreon is, one, he was such a professional and such a great fighter last time that he was on our card, but also you've had a kind of a bumpy road with opponents dropping out in your MMA battles. You've went, and you can break it down for me a little bit better than I know it, but I know of the story, how many times you've had to reimburse tickets or do different things with people because your opponent's dropping out. Now, you had told me the story. I had researched, I knew about it, but I didn't know why. And then I found out why. You have some pretty awesome videos on the internet of stopping guys and doing things to the point where I think a lot of guys maybe signed up to fight you, started to do their homework, and decided, I'm not interested in that. So, but with Dreon, he's a professional. He's a great character, great fighter. He will be there next Saturday night. I guarantee you that. He's a great kid. So tell me what it's like whenever you have all those fights drop out. And now, you kind of got something set in stone. It's a real fight.
Yeah. So I agree with what you're saying. I think it actually goes back to something you had said before. So there's not a lot of MMA promotions here. Really, there's none. And so I'm always on the road when I'm going to compete. And I bring a fan base with me, but it still doesn't compare to, like, the people that are in their hometown. So a lot of times I'm being brought in as what would be considered the B-side fighter, somebody that's not supposed to win the fight. And chances are, like you said, most people don't want to fight a hard fight in their hometown. Therefore, it's easy to accept the fight, do the research, realize this is not what you want to do in your hometown, and then withdraw. Um, and then, I mean, some of the fights, a few of them, for example, I had one up in Pittsburgh. It was just bad, like misfortune, essentially. Like we both weighed in, we made weight, and then I woke up that next morning, did a little shakeout because I like to move around the morning of the fight. And then as soon as I got done, I had actually got a call saying that the event had been canceled, and that was when COVID essentially started.
Right.
But Drayon, no, I'm absolutely excited because I know he'll be there, and I've actually fought Drayon myself before, but it was in MMA. And you know, MMA has boxing in it, but the style of fight that him and I fought was mostly a grappling fight. He came out, he pushed me back towards the cage, landed a few kicks. We initiated in grappling. I got the takedown, landed some ground and pound to a submission. So for me, this is exciting because I got to saw what happened in MMA. Now I get to see what happens without the grappling, the submissions and stuff. And even going into the MMA fight, I had extreme amounts of respect for Drayon because I watched him fight when I was 15 years old, 16 years old. And he was fighting as like a highly ranked amateur about to turn professional. And so it was cool to experience it then. And I'm even more excited to experience it now after already getting to see him get his feet wet in boxing and compete against, for him, a real fighter in his pro debut as well.
Well, and you know, one of the things also going into this fight is most fighters are right-handed. So a lot of times, like I know coaches in gyms that won't fight a left-handed guy no matter what. So whenever Drayon presents himself, he's a southpaw. When boxing, that becomes a little bit bigger of an obstacle than in MMA. So he's a southpaw, and you know, I kind of present it to you, and I say, "Oh, but there is one holdup. He's southpaw." And you say, "You realize I do train with Derek Lambert every day, you know." So, and Derek being a southpaw, so that kind of played in. That's something we're going to get to see you kind of put what you've learned at an earlier point in your career than most people learn to fight a southpaw. Should be exciting. I know he'll be their game. The fight's next Saturday night. We're 9 days away. Tickets are on sale now at kingofwv.ticketleap.com. There's a bunch of great fights that night. Your boy Rick Caruso's on there. Bobby Freshness is on there. Ladre's going to be on there. So there's a bunch of people there in that area that's getting a chance to finally kind of show what they can do. I'm super excited about it. Before we go, Jeromy, if there's anything that you've got, sponsors, shout outs, gyms, friends, whatever you need to do, let them know how thankful you are for their support.
Really, I didn't go get a bunch of sponsors this time, so I'll drop the two that I've always had, and that's Watkins Contracting and then Wolfman Tattoo. But really, the shout out goes more to the individuals in my life, mostly my wife, for dealing with the craziness of all of this all the time, even the fights that happen and the fights that don't happen, and everything she does to help support me. And then equally, I have to give as many thanks to like Derek, Rick, and Brett. They've always been there for me. They've always pushed me, and they're some of the best fighters I know. So to get to train with them every day gives me insane amounts of confidence, and to see the belief they have in me, I don't know. I can't even explain how that makes me feel. So.
You guys have the best long-standing band of brothers through a gym that I have ever seen in our area. You guys, I mean, we can go back 10 years ago and there y'all are, you know, still. So, but absolutely, man, we're excited about it. It's going to be an awesome fight. I look forward to seeing you next week. We'll be doing weigh-ins next Friday night. Make sure everybody hits their number. Keep yourself healthy, train hard, just a week and a half away, man. I guess I'll see you next weekend.
Yes, sir. See you then.
Thank you.
Wait.